Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, I just woke up and decided to start recording. Now, let us begin. Whenever we last left off, Deku, he just got another quirk from a street performer. This quirk is illusions. Basically, as long as Deku can think about it or, well, see it in his head, then he should be able to create it. Just depending on how much control he has over it, and how willing he is for the creation to become real. Now, with that being said, let us continue. Deku, he is still testing out this quirk, and finding it to be a bit odd. But at the same time, he's really happy with it. And things are a bit weird. He's trying to do things that the man can do, finding it to be a bit odd and strange, but still finding it to be a bit fun. Along with that, he does actually start asking a bit of questions, and things begin to take a bit of a turn. It has been roughly a month since Deku's been taken by All For One. And Deku is beginning to realize himself that he's not going to see his mom again for quite some time. So, Deku, he would actually just ask his dad straight out, why isn't he able to see his mom? Did he do something wrong? Did he do something bad? Was he not supposed to take quirks? All for one clarifying that he did nothing wrong. He won't be able to see his mom for quite some time, because if he does, then things can begin to get weird and or complicated with how they plan to explain this. He will be able to see her again one day, but that is after they take down the Order or the Wrongful Society of Heroes. Deku confused for a minute, before just explaining that, before All For One explains that the heroes in the society are in the wrong. Back whenever Tomura was a child, there were heroes left and right. Tomura had, as All For One just say, as he brings Deku closer, actually whispering this. Young Tomura, as a child around your age, manifested his quirk. There was a bit of an accident. And, well, he lost his family. After that, he wandered the streets. No one helped him, all expecting it to be the job of a hero, until I reached out. The look on his face told me everything I needed to see. Even then, that was all I needed. He willingly joined me. I am helping him master his quirk, and I am going to help you. Because I fear that one day, without me there, your quirk will run rampant, and you might go on a bit of a warpath. Deku confused, at least understanding the first half. This is for the safety of people around him. Okay. Before he actually does ask another question. How is he supposed to train his quirk? He can't really, go above 3. All For One explained that he can. Your body's main limit is 3, right now. But you need to push your body a little bit harder. Your body will experience physical strain whenever you do take on more quirks. That is natural. I feel that strain too. In fact, I do believe I had to get rid of 2 or 3 of mine after I was injured, handing them off to my clone. I felt a lot easier afterwards. So, Hisashi walking into the room and, well, explaining to Deku that things are going to be getting a bit more complicated right now. Well, homeschooling him is going to be a little more challenging, but even then, they do believe it should be fine. But you really should be around kids your own age. So, I have a question for you, Midoriya. Are you ready to go to school? Deku a bit confused by that. Before all for one would state that you must live your own separate life, my son. You cannot always be encompassed by villains. Otherwise, your, well, mindset could be poisoned. If you dedicate yourself solely to one cause, then that means that you are not dedicated. You are quite simply a fanatic. Just like some heroes out there. Endeavor, for example. Deku confused but looking up to hear that. All for one saying that just the other week, Endeavor decided to burn his son. I'm not too sure on the details. But whatever he did, he is abusive. And his wife is going to be put in the hospital or an insane asylum. He is a fanatic. Worried so much more about just destroying and taking down All Might that he married a wife quite simply to do so, and had children specifically designed for that purpose. Only one of them turned out the way he wanted. Now, with that being said, Deku would be taken out by Hisashi, and, well, all four would begin talking, with his clone, actually handing over a quirk, telling him to use this and to properly alter the boy's appearance. As Hisashi would understand. Walking back out of the room and actually helping, well, bending down and talking with Deku, telling him that he needs to do something. This will be painless, okay? Deku, confused before Hisashi, puts his hand on his head and begins to turn his hair white, along with actually his eyes blue. And, well, basically altering his appearance. Along with telling Midoriya that his You are no longer Izuku Midoriya, my son. Deku a bit confused, as he would just state that my true last name, is Shigaraki. So, along with that, I do believe I should give you a name fitting, as all for one would just say his brother's name, after all this time. Deku confused at who that person is, as all for one would just state that that was his brother's name. In fact, I will tell you more about him one day. His quirk is still running around. Deku confused. Before all for one would state that I do believe you should head to school now. In fact, let's go. As all for one would just state that Deku should only use his telekinesis at school, nothing else. Otherwise, kids will begin to ask questions and get weirded out, okay? Besides, if you use any other quirk, then things will begin to get a bit more suspicious. And people might get scared of you. Okay? Sure, Dad. Now, with that being said, Deku would head to this new school and find that the people around him are at least odd, but, well, really cool. Along with Deku actually having to introduce himself. He used to be a bit more shy and timid, but after his experiences with Bakugo and him awakening his quirk and becoming a bit more famous, he eventually gained a bit of confidence. Then, getting kidnapped by villains and training by his dad, he's been getting a lot better with his quirks. So, with that being said, he wouldn't actually be scared or shy when he introduces himself. And everyone would be a bit surprised to see him. Now, with that, he would walk over and sit down, as a lot of other kids begin to ask him if he has his quirk yet. Deku just explained that he hasn't. He does. He has his mom's quirk. Deku just, well, covering his mouth, before saying that he has telekinesis. Them all a bit surprised, as Deku begins to float a lot of things around the room. He actually does pick up his desk, quite a few other kids, and more things. He's gotten his quirk to a good point, but as soon as he does pick everything up, he would barely be able to hold it for 2 or 3 seconds, before putting it down on the ground as fast as he can. Finding that to be a bit too much at once, he picked up 5 other people, a desk, well, his own desk, 2 other people's desks, and some smaller objects around the room that were close by. So, that was still a bit tricky, as people would begin to congratulate him, saying that the only other person, well, in here with her quirk is, well, Sue. Deku confused at who Sue is, before she would come walking up, looking at Deku. Deku seeing her and finding her to be a bit odd, before she would just explain that her name is Asui. Just call her that, or call me Sue. Now, with that being said, she would just go on saying that her quirk is frog, and she can basically do anything that a frog can. In fact, it's a bit tricky with the way her quirk works, but she'll figure it out. Now, with that being said, at recess things are going a bit easier and getting a bit cooler, since at recess today someone does manifest a quirk. And it does seem to be a bit odd, or at least a bit cool. Since whenever that person does manifest their quirk, Deku sees it, and he actually was a bit surprised. As he's basically just sitting down at recess watching as the kid's quirk is, well, let's see. Let's say it's a fire quirk or something. Not really very off. Now, Deku would see this and finding it to be a bit odd, or at least a bit cool. Before Asui does walk over and ask him what is he doing. You know, he really should be out playing, but why isn't he doing so? Deku's somewhat just saying that he doesn't really want to play right now. In fact, he kinda does miss his dad. Her not really sure what to say, as she thinks about it for 1 second and says that school will be over soon, right? Him saying that yes, it will, but he's just been around his dad for a long time, so he's not used to not having him there. Now, with that being said, Sue would begin to talk more with Deku and finding that he's a bit of an odd one, but still, at least fairly good at heart, since he does seem to have people's best intentions in mind. Now, with that being said, eventually the school day would be over, and Deku would head back home. Walking into this place and, well, seeing a bit of an odd show. There are more people here, and in fact, All For One is talking with one, as he actually is, well, holding a boy by his face. The boy is somewhat screaming. Deku a bit confused at what he walked into, before realizing that, well, the other people standing here aren't really doing anything. So he's giving quirks out today. As All For One would just see Deku, and immediately wave him into the room. Deku just walking in a bit. Before All For One just explained that this is his son, he would like to introduce him. So, along with that, I do believe that is the end of our deal. The young boy just, well, trying to stand up, but wobbling a bit. As All For One would just state that that is that. So, you do understand that this is not going to be easy to explain. Or if it even is, then you still do owe me a favor. The parents saying yes, yes, they understand. But it was easy to pay for. Anything for the young man. Now, with that, the young man would just walk over to Deku, still a bit wobbly, telling Deku hi. His name is, well, Ayama. Deku a bit confused at who this boy is. Before his father would just state that the boy is from a rich family, and sometimes in order to keep the lights on, he will let word get out about himself, explaining that he will give a quirk away to the highest bidder. Any quirk they would like. They just quite simply asked if their son could have any quirk, and I tried to find one suited for him that would fit his taste. The young man is a bit fancy, but even then, I believe that this one will work perfect for him. Now, with that being said, Ayama would feel his belly button tingle, before realizing that this is a navel laser. The navel laser. I bit my tongue, and finding it to be a bit cool, as his parents would thank the villain, and he would immediately go running out, wanting to see if he can test it or do anything with it. Now, with that being said, I do believe that that should be good for right now. But let me just throw this in. Now, All For One began explaining with Deku that things are going to be getting a lot trickier. Today they'll be pushing his quirk, his stockpile ability. All For One actually deciding to hand over more quirks to Deku. He does at least want to give him one more, to see if pushing it this way would hurt his body. He doesn't want to just pile them into his son, cause that would risk mental damage as well. Him handing over a random quirk. Let's see. Now, All For One would give Deku firebending. Deku at least a bit curious about this. All For One putting his hand on Deku's head and handing over the power. Asking Deku if he feels fine afterwards. He's just a bit dizzy and, well, disoriented, but he should be okay in a minute. As time would pass, and Deku would, well, feel his quirk act up a bit. He does feel okay, but he does feel different somehow. Not really sure what this is. Feeling like things are getting a bit heavier. All For One explaining that that is his quirk. That is what the strain feels like. Once you get more accustomed to that, please tell me. Along with that, I believe this quirk you might enjoy actually. It was once classified as, well, Hasashi's original quirk, fire breath. But with enough time, ended up mixing with another fire quirk, I was able to change it. Deku confused. Off one telling Deku to hold out his hand and throw out a punch. And two at least, well, hold still. Deku throwing out a punch with his right hand. A bit confused. Off one walking over and activating his quirk in his fingertip, tapping onto Deku's shoulder as he forcibly activates his firebending. Deku watching as a large gust of fire blasts out of his hand, him being surprised by this, and really happy. Now, with that being said, Deku would be running around and trying to get a hold on this a bit more, before he does eventually go to his training room, where All For One tells him to train his quirks, as he wants to train his other quirks and get a hold on this one now. So, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.